We continue to see devastating images out of Ukraine. Families forced to separate as women and children flee the Russian invasion as Ukrainian men of military age stay behind to fight. And if you're a parent or guardian of young people watching all of this on television or online in your home, you're probably wondering if you're exposing them or shielding your kids, or at a minimum, talking to them about all of this appropriately. Well, licensed therapist Jody Baumstein joining me right now to talk about how to have these conversations with our kids. So good to see you.
Good to see you.
This is a really critical and difficult time. But how do we approach this? Are we waiting for our kids to invite the conversation, tell us what they're thinking about, or do we need to just get in there and say, hey, this is what's happening?
We don't want to wait, because just because they're not talking about it doesn't mean they're not thinking about it, and doesn't mean they don't know about it. So we want to get ahead of it. We want to have conversations, and at the same time acknowledge that it's scary and confusing for us, and it's really tempting to want to avoid anything that feels challenging or confusing because we're not sure if we can handle it. But what we know is that when we talk openly about things, kids actually feel more secure and comforted. So even though we're scared we're going to create more anxiety and we're going to put thoughts into their heads, it's not true. When we create an environment where we can talk very openly about this stuff, kids feel more at peace.
So how do we get started? Is it as simple as asking them what they're thinking, what's on their mind, what are they thinking, what are their worries?
You got it.
Oh, okay.
That's it. Is we really sometimes want to avoid the conversation because we're not sure how to get into it.
Yeah.
But the best place to start is asking what they know. We don't want to make assumptions because what might be top of mind for us might not even be a priority for them. So start by asking what they know and what's on their mind, and really give them a chance to lead the conversation, because then you can focus. You can focus on what's most important to them and figure out the best way to support them in it.
Kids just want to know that they're safe too.
Yes.
Because that's instinctively going to be one of their questions is what's happening there? Is that going to happen to us? Or what would we do?
Right.
And sometimes we don't really know the answer to that.
Absolutely. And we need to acknowledge that and give ourselves permission not to have all the answers, which feels scary. And again, we want to avoid that because it's uncomfortable. But kids know when we're lying. They're really smart and they're very perceptive. So we need to think about how do we be upfront with them and let them know this is very complicated and I'm not sure, but maybe let's look into it together, or I'm going to get back to you in a little bit. But the big thing here is we do not want to lie to them, because if they figure out we're not telling the truth, they're going to find the information elsewhere, and we don't want them going away from us when things are big and scary. We want them to come toward us.
And what about for the household who says, you know what, we're just not going to talk about it at all, I don't want to deal with it? Is that problematic?
It's definitely problematic, because this is one example of things that are happening today and in a child's life throughout the years. But this is about feelings. This is about helping kids navigate through them, not around them. And this is lifelong, something that they need to practice. So we could avoid this, sure, but what about the next thing? And what about the thing that happens at school tomorrow?
Because when they go to school, the kids are talking. It's amazing the kind of conversations that they're having, and perhaps you really need to be equipping your kid with the right facts so that they are not led astray by other kids who, perhaps are hearing different things.
You're absolutely right.
Might not all be right.
Right. And a lot of it probably isn't right. So we want to listen for that and correct any misinformation. But really, again, use this as an opportunity to teach them that we can create a space where all feelings are okay and normal to talk about. Again, we get so anxious about this kind of stuff that we want to avoid it, but it doesn't take the feeling away. So if a kid is saying, I'm scared about it, we don't want to immediately jump to, don't be scared, we're safe.
Yeah.
Because that shuts down the conversation.
Help them with the process of understanding why they might be safe.
And also that it's okay to feel that way.
Yeah.
This is a really normal response to something that is scary and confusing. Fear is normal. So we don't want to minimize and dismiss it and teach them to feel shame, because it doesn't take away the feeling. It's just going to teach them not to talk about it.
Oh, that's a great point. They should feel confident about all of the feelings that they're having.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Jody Baumstein, so good to see you. Thank you so much.